and sometimes it takes it to another level. Where it's just kind of just teasing, man. So I just feel like right now the state of where women are and what's acceptable.
Welcome, everyone, and glad you guys could join us for episode 11 of Conversations with Friends. And tonight we will have a discussion on divorce. And one of the things about divorce that why we chose this discussion is because we had a discussion on Black love. And I think that when we talk about divorce, or when divorce is talked about in our community, it's more of like a taboo, and most people don't want to talk about it openly, either due to a part of their life that they don't want to talk about, due to bitterness, due to not being honest and open, or due to a bunch of circumstances. And one thing that I personally want to say is everybody is entitled to their experience. But that doesn't mean that their personal experience, is the reality of everyone else. It coincides with our mission statement with Conversations with Friends, of really being able to have these difficult conversations, definitely, particularly in the Black community. And I think that it speaks about something that happens, and it's not just a Black thing, it's a societal thing as well. I'm with my co-host Melodic Storm. She's there, everyone, as well as King Atterbury, who is the host and creator of the Poetry Corner every Tuesday on these very same channels. And we're just going to have a conversation about divorce. We do have some statistics, and we're just going to have a short conversation on it, nothing too broad. And anyone that may be watching can join in with the conversation. Anybody in the playback, please feel free to comment and share your experience, or share your situations and share your input, because everybody has valid or an input in this discussion, as well as any discussion that we talk about on Conversations with Friends. My co-host, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. King Atterbury, how you doing, cuz?
I'm feeling good tonight.
Is it hot enough for you guys? Is it humid enough for you guys?
Oh,
yeah, it's too humid.
Melodic, I know how in this heat, for our beautiful Black queens, how they feel about their hair. Have you sweated your hair out yet?
No, I don't sweat my hair out. I have a natural, so I pull it up when it's hot like this, so I can get a little bit of relief.
Yeah, because I know that could be difficult, man. Like in this heat in the middle, you be like, the hair be looking like doom, and then you walk out and, whew, it'd be something. But
no, see, this is my little natural curl. I wear it the way that it comes, that it grows out of my head. So I'm
great,
good.
Great. So King, I'm gonna ask you to give us just a short view on how you view divorce, and what your aspect of what you can do to give society in reference to divorce. I know as a poet, you have that creative genius to be able to speak life into words and be able to touch different people.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on divorce and your view on it?
Well, divorce, I believe divorce is personal choice, but I mean, when you go and get married, I mean, it's supposed to be a bonding network between yourself and the creator. So, and not allow anything or anyone coming in between that. You know what I mean? A lot of times we have people, family, friends, in our own personal business. Whatever goes on in the house needs to stay inside the house and not be repetitiously spoken out into the world of gossiping friends and family. So, and also the grounding of communication. Keeping that relationship balanced and grounded. A lot of times, there's always ways to fix a problem. if it exists. You know, you have to put in that work though. I mean, look at all of the elders who've been married for all these years. You know, I'm pretty sure that everything wasn't sweet. You know what I mean? It wasn't all really gravy. They had their little issues, but they worked through it. I think us and our generation, sometimes people don't want to put in the work. But when it's over, it's over. You know, a lot of times. If it ain't broke, don't fix it too. so so you know. I believe in chance though. I mean, sometimes you have to have that second chance to see if it'll work. And if you try time and time again and it doesn't, then you just part ways with mutual respect. You can't do that, then it's in the eyes of the Lord.
Melodic.
Okay, my view on divorce. I can actually say that it's changed over time. That's for sure. I agree with King. It's a personal choice. I feel that everyone has a breaking point. I think that if two people are committed to making the marriage work, then it'll work. But if both people are not as committed, then it's just not going to work out. One person cannot salvage a relationship. It has to be a mutual agreement. And if not, then, I think it's best for some people to part ways. Some relationships are very toxic and dangerous also. So.
Absolutely. You know, when you look at the divorce rates, and I'll get into some of the statistics. I'll put some of the statistics up. I think that many times, and I'm speaking for myself in this, is that when you do get married, you don't think about divorce. You're thinking that this is a bliss. This is something that is not going to be factored in. You get married to the point that this is going to be your quote unquote soulmate, and y'all going to tackle and challenge life together. And being of a certain age now and looking at being divorced, you start to realize that the certain factors that play into divorce. And I think that when you look at statistics, divorce, most people don't realize divorce rates are down. For this generation, definitely that's coming down. The numbers are down, but the marriages are even further down compared to 25 years ago. And I think that a lot of people, the reason why they're not getting married is because of fear of divorce, fear of the unknown. And I think that it's different than, a lot of us that may have gotten married in our younger 20s may have been like, I see the perfect example from grandparents, parents, etc. I want to be like them, and don't understand that they may have did certain things and sacrifices to keep their marriage that a different generation wasn't willing to do. And then you see the next generation that's coming, they ain't if you listen to the youth, they're not with marriage. They're just fluid with everything that they do.
Okay, but you know what, Q? So something that you said actually sparked a thought. My great grandparents were married for, I think it was 55 years, maybe 60 years. I'm not sure on the exact number. And when I asked my great grandmother, excuse me, when you met Papa, were you madly in love with him? And I was a teenager when I asked her this, and she was like, no, what? No, not at all. She was like, no. She was like, when I met him through mutual friends. And what attracted me to him was that he was my friend. She was like, and I can't imagine having a better marriage or friendship than I have with him. She was like, when I wake up in the morning, I want to see him. As soon as I wake up, I want to talk to him. How you doing? How was your night? How did you sleep? She was like, not because that's my husband, but because that's my friend. And when he passed away, she actually said, she was like, I was like, how you feeling? Are you okay? And she was like, I'm just going to miss my friend. She was like, I've never had a friend as close as that ever in my life. And more than anything, I'm going to miss my friend. She was like, she said that she loved him with her everything, with her all. And they definitely, went through some stuff. Even, growing up, you see when they have little spats and stuff like that, but it never got disrespectful. And I find that like a lot of these relationships nowadays, there are no boundaries, and boundaries are crossed, and they're toxic. And it's like, my thing is, there are just certain things that you shouldn't accept. But I also feel like you see those red flags. You see when somebody is just, a horrible person. And we, especially women, tend to ignore the red flags within the relationship. So.
One of the things, and I definitely could relate to that as well, with my grandparents, and understanding his life, and I was able to really get a lot of when my grandmother passed away, I was able to get a lot of stories from when they were younger. My grandmother's father actually sent her from Georgia to Chicago, and my grandfather went and got her. Like he went and got her, and in Chicago they had 3 kids. And they eventually came to New Jersey, and it's interesting when he explains. When my grandfather would explain his life, he didn't have an education, 3rd grade education. When he came to New Jersey, he was put up in a home. He didn't even have a job. He was put up by a family friend who was a minister with 3 kids, and he found a job. He shared a car with another family. One worked first shift. He worked first shift or second shift, and the other guy worked first and second. And they shared a car, and had 4 more kids. And they went through their stuff, but at the end of the day, like he had, like I said, he had one job, and then he went to another job, retired, and then him and my uncle worked together. And she had a job; she was a nurse, and where I could relate to what you were saying, Melodic, about your grandparents is you knew you had a partner. When you listened to them, it was never, oh, that's my wife or that's my husband. It was, no, that's my partner. That's the person that I choose and I chose to tackle life together, life problems with. And it was never to the point where they pressed that nuclear button, like where it was disrespect. Even though even I heard some spats here and there. Right. But it was never like where he disrespected her or she disrespected him.
Right.
And nowadays you'll hear people talk about their mate, and it's like, this is the person that you love. Like, you really feel this way about them? And it's very interesting that people say this. Basim said many individuals are in a financial situation, not a loving situation. Absolutely. They marry for finances, and they'll divorce for finances.
Indeed.
Yep.
So I think it's interesting, but I did have a chart I wanted to put up. Hopefully without my glasses I can see it. And it's basically talking about, it's breaking down, and shout out to blackdemographics.com, and it's talking about black married 30%, 12% are separated or divorced, 6% are widowed, 50% are never married. And that goes back to what we were discussing about people are not getting married anymore.
Well, and that's why we're not as far as we should be, because the whole problem is a lot of these men and women are, it seems like they're in competition with one another. And we're teammates. We're supposed to coexist. So, most other races do get married and have children and build together, and we don't do that. It's like, I'm sorry. I know this, is I hate to talk about my people in a negative light, but
Talk that talk.
It's just like a crab in a barrel syndrome. The males and the females are in competition with one another. I don't want a man that I need to compete with. I don't compete with anybody. The only person I compete with is melodic. I want to be better than I was the day before.
Exactly.
That's pretty much it. And
Talk
when it
that
comes
talk,
to
sis.
when it comes to a mate, no, I want to help you out, and I want you to help me out. I'm supposed to be your biggest fan. I'm supposed to be your biggest critic and your biggest fan, and vice versa. So, yeah.
So King, let me ask you. Oh yeah, Basim just asked a question, and it's a very still statement. Is absolutely there's no I in team. And
Right.
Melodic, you
Absolutely.
spoke about something which I think that a lot of people, and I know this has been a pet peeve for me the last few years because I've really honed in on noticing it, is the gender war. And a lot of people have minimized it to the point where we are in a competition for some reason, and we shouldn't be.
At
We
all.
shouldn't be. We shouldn't be as a culture, and we shouldn't be as mates. We shouldn't even be that way, period. Because at the end of the day, we should be trying to uplift. Like,
Absolutely.
for example, one of the things is that if we know that our counterparts, black women, are pursuing their careers as men, we should understand that they can climb that career ladder a little bit faster than we can right now. So we should be a little bit more supportive,
Absolutely.
a little bit more protective, and definitely a little bit more understanding, and not allow a pride thing get to us.
Right.
I noticed that a lot of people tend to feel like if I invest in you, you're gonna turn your back on me. It's like we're scared. It's like for people that ever played cards or whatever, it's like we're holding our cards close to our hand. And you don't want to show this is your partner.
Right.
Y'all play spades and this is your partner. And you got 4 books
Right.
and you need a 7 to go out.
Right.
Your partner got 3. You got the definite 4, and you telling your partner, I got 1 in a possible. So now you done underbid it and want 5, but y'all done made 8.
Well, you know what? Closed mouths don't get fed. Okay.
True indeed.
Yeah, it's King. What do you think that our biggest problem is with that? And is it communication?
It's communication, and you have to trust and believe. You know, you're not gonna know everything that's in the front line of whatever it is. You know, I mean, just like when I first started writing the poetry books, that was like after my divorce. But I've always written though. You know what I mean? She's like, "What you writing down now?" And I'm like, "Oh, my poems and stuff." You know what I'm saying? She's like, "Oh." So every time I look around, you writing something. I'm like, "Well, those come to me." Like she did the stuff that she did. I did stuff that I did on the side, or even when I was working on people's computers and stuff like that. One time she was like, "Somebody dropped off 2 laptops." She was like, "She was like, you gonna have time?" I said, "Yeah, on my day off." So I knocked those out. But she supported in that way of what I was doing, hustling on the side before people get robbed. But I think it's just a communication thing. That's the biggest draw.
Okay. And I'm going to say this. So I beg to differ. And I say that because you can communicate until the cows come home. It's a comprehension thing. If you don't, if I'm communicating to you and you don't understand what I'm saying, that's like, okay. I think I was talking to Q earlier when we were talking about the show, and I said you cannot speak butterfly language to a caterpillar. They'll never understand.
No, I get it.
If somebody's not on your level, if somebody doesn't have the same goals that you have, they're not going to understand the conviction in your statements.
Yeah, like-minded person,
Not even a like-minded person, an open-minded person.
But at the same time,
who understands, who can understand what you're saying. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I can understand your point of view.
But you're right, though. Even though I brought up the communication thing, but that's where I was going at too. You're right. You gotta understand and comprehend what a person is saying, and that's both parties. When you don't have that on the table, more issues are to come. You know what I mean? That turns into a problem.
Bassine put up another statement, and Melodic, I think me and you had a conversation about this exact part of his statement that he said. Look at this one. He said, "If you don't have self-love, how could you love your mate?"
Bingo.
And that speaks to something that we talked about, is that a lot of times people are not really quote unquote in love with their mate or even love themselves. It's more of, this is what I want, instead of like, it's like a prized possession.
To me, love, you definitely have to love yourself before you can give anybody anything. You have to know how to love yourself. But love is an action word for me. Mm-hmm. So somebody can tell me they love me all day, but if your actions are not aligned with your words, then I don't believe you. You can show me better than you can tell me. Show me, prove it, show me. So, okay. So, I just feel like a lot of people are running around, and I don't, like you said, I don't even think that they necessarily love each other. A lot of people are looking for help.
Help me.
But you know what I've seen too? I mean, I'm divorced twice. One of my marriages, the wife had low self-esteem problems. As much as I helped raise that bar of her esteem levels and comfortability, that you good, we good. But then that's why I said family and friends can be your worst enemy. They was shooting her shit down. Then I'm helping to bring it back up. It was like a seesaw effect. And I was like, why you even deal with them? You know what I mean? Because then now that energy is coming into the house. You know what I mean? And it just helped destroy a lot of different things. You know what I mean?
Well, it's supposed to be y'all against the world.
I do have one question here. Somebody sent to me, and I put it in the comment section. Here's my question. When a divorce occurs because one of the parties initiated it, then regrets the decision and introduces the question of, can we make it work again? Can there be a true resolution or growth if one party already requested the divorce, but it is now requested? I think absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that a lot of times we say things in anger, and this is why we talk about the not pressing a nuclear bomb. You could say, it's amazing how, in my opinion, a person can have love for their friends and get into heated arguments with their friends and not press the nuclear button. But when it comes to their mate, the first time they get into a heated argument, they'll press the nuclear button. And I've been a victim of this in the past. Like, you, and it gets to the point, and a lot of women will point this out towards men, where women be like, you treat your friends better than you treat your wife, or you treat your friends better than you treat me. And I think that a lot of times with men, we may not really even see it like that. We may not even view it the way that a woman may view it. We may view it as, oh, she tripping. She just jealous because I'm with the guys. Where in all actuality, you may treat your friends with more love, care, and concern, and feelings come into play more than you treat the woman that you're with, or whoever, if you're with a man or whatever, you treat the man that you're with.
I think that sometimes people, they take their mates for granted, and they feel that, well, this person is not going anywhere, or they forget who the fuck you are.
Excuse me. Okay. Hello, somebody.
And if you're going to be in that relationship, in that marriage, you're going to be there because you want to be there, because you're committed and you want to fix whatever problems you have, if they're fixable. I think, King, you said something else about everything is fixable, and I don't agree with that. I don't think that everything is fixable. No,
you gotta want to fix it. You know what I mean?
No, because if you're whipping my ass,
that's something totally. That's a whole different.
Exactly, you done raped somebody or raped a kid or something like that. No, that's not fixable. So there are things
that's a whole different. Yeah.
The confines of a marriage that are not fixable, and there are things that are not forgivable.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about, like, if you have an argument and saying y'all at each other, that's where I'm
definitely.
That other shit, I ain't talking that.
King, I believe you to an extent, and this goes back to when we speak about our elders, King, because really, for me and you would not be here today if it wasn't for our ancestors
Right.
working things out, working problems out, because we're cousins, we're basically distant cousins, and we're talking about after slavery.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was never, back then, it was never a financial problem.
Right.
No matter what they went through,
Because nobody ain't have nothing.
they stuck together.
Right.
My thing.
Okay.
Go ahead, Melodic. Go ahead.
I do want to say this. Another conversation I had with my grandmother also was about respect, and her thing was never lose the respect, ever. Never lose the respect. And she also said you have to think about how someone speaks to you. If someone can't speak to you in a respectful manner at all times, then that person does not have respect for you. You know, that's like my thing is, if you can go to work every day and you can behave yourself in the office, why can't you come home and treat me with the same respect that you did that person who's paying you, when I'm always in your corner and I always have your back, and vice versa.
I think it speaks. Go ahead, King.
No, just like the comment that just came up. I forgot boy's name when I what he just said. You know what I mean? We are more vulnerable when it comes to your mate because they know you. And sometimes they'll use that against you. You know what I mean? Am I right or wrong?
King, I agree with you, and I think that when we do discuss comparing our generation, the generation behind us, to the elders, is that they were vulnerable because they didn't have all these idiosyncrasies going on. No. They, like, if he worked at the steel mill, she knew how much he made an hour. She didn't expect him to be a giant amongst comparing him to celebrities, sort of say. And vice versa. If she was a homemaker, he didn't look at her like, oh, you up there cleaning up them people's houses. Like, she just was a homemaker. He didn't belittle her and she didn't belittle him. You put that, your mate or the person that you were courting, on a pedestal.
Right. Well, why would you want to be with somebody that belittles you at all? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, my thing is, if I'm with somebody, like, if I'm married to somebody, I don't want to belittle you. How do we grow from that?
I know. Hold on, let me just say something real quick. Just like my grandfather, which is Q's cousin. Him and my grandmother got into their little, like you say, Q, spats or whatever, but I never heard them like get out of pocket.
Exactly.
If you knew he was mad, he would say this one thing, and I think it's just an old Southern term. He'd be like, "God damn my living soul." I mean, she'd be like, "Oh, James," and then he'd be like, "Jidel, I'm telling you," and then it'd just be like, "Oh, they in there arguing." But if they wasn't arguing, you just hear she say what she say, he say what he said. And then he'd just be watching TV or the game or something like that. You know what I mean? But we never seen all that foulness and whatnot. Like I said, he was from Georgia. So I think it was just a different breed. He was an older man. I think he had 13 years on my grandmother. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was just like.
And when you think about the things that they would fight about, that they would, have spats about it. Seriously, like my great grandparents used to have spats because he used to smoke cigarettes, right? And she didn't allow cigarette smoking in the house. And she didn't want him smoking cigarettes. But he was like, I'm a man and I'm going to do what I want to do. And she's like, you're going to kill yourself. And he died from lung cancer. The crazy thing is, whenever he would go out into the hallway to smoke a cigarette, she would get so angry with him. And she was like, you need to stop smoking on those cancer sticks. They're going to kill you. And then what am I going to do? And, that's how they would argue, that. And that's what most of the time that was the main argument. Like, no, stop doing that because I love you and I want you to be okay.
Yeah, my grandfather, he smoked the White Owls.
I think now you hear so many people come and they speak from a position of hurt more than a position of love. And like Basim spoke about he posted about the vulnerability, and I think that a lot of times people don't want to be vulnerable. People don't want to say, I don't make as much money at my job as I want to. I'm having problems. I want to take care of you. I want to give give you the best, but right now I'm not financially there where I need to be. Like, I think that level of vulnerability, that level of being scared, or that level of insecurity, we tend not to share with each other. And it's like, you can share it with your friends, but you're scared to share it with your mate. You're scared to share it with.
I think that's men. I think that's men. I don't like to be vulnerable. I definitely don't like to be vulnerable, but I realize that
you don't. Why not?
No, I don't. Why? Because it opens up the chance that you can actually get hurt. But
wouldn't that depend on whatever particular man that you're dealing with?
That
I wouldn't say all men are the same like that.
No, all men are not the same, but just sometimes depending on past experiences, sometimes women will have a wall, and they'll have a wall up. And my thing is, in all honesty, if you're really into me like that and you're concerned about whether or not, you know, what's going on with me, and you want to see me kind of behind a false ego, no, it has nothing to do with ego. When I love honey, it has nothing to do with ego. I let go of that ego.
I think that
but when it's opening up and letting somebody in, you're giving someone the opportunity to possibly hurt you, and nobody wants to be hurt.
Melodic, and not to piggyback off what you're saying, but I kind of could see why a lot of people come in situations with hesitation, is because to get to that point where you're just totally vulnerable, you know, your heart is sacred, your heart should be cared for. And I think that, like I said, a lot of people approach situations where they come in with ill intention, and they come in not to love, they come in to destroy, they come in to conquer, speaking from a man's point of view, and not saying, hold up, this is where this young lady's at. I need to meet her where she's at.
Right.
And that doesn't mean I need to have sex with her. That doesn't mean that I even need to be with her in a relationship. If I meet her, if she's a coworker and she confides in me, I need to take her heart, her feelings into consideration. Yeah, you quote unquote, we all have this theory of experience of you can't be there for everybody. But at the end of the day, like, if you're honorable, if you have these characteristics about yourself and you're true to yourself, you can be there for your friends. And it's funny that it seems like in society, we can be very vulnerable with other people except our mates or the person that we're courting. For some people.
Right.
Yeah, some. But I understand where you're coming from, Melodic, though. I mean, that you do have to be careful, because some people, once they slide in, then all bets is off. You know what I mean? If they're that type of person. You know what I mean? So I get it. You know what I mean? You're right, though. Sometimes you do have to safeguard what's special.
I think that anything.
Yo, hey, King, don't be just agreeing with her.
No, hold on. I got a memo behind it.
Anything that's valuable, right? You take your money and you put it in a bank. You take your precious jewels and you put them in a safe, right? Because
I got a skeleton key.
Well, you want to protect them and you want to safeguard them. Right. So my thing is, isn't the woman supposed to be the prize? Aren't you supposed to protect her? Aren't our men supposed to protect us?
Are some of us men a trophy?
Speaking to that, right?
Wait, no. What did you say?
I said, aren't some of us men trophies?
Trophies?
Yeah, no, trophies don't look the same. No,
I've never looked at a man as a trophy.
Well, you said.
Let me ask you a question, Melodic.
So weird.
Because you said that are women supposed to be the prize?
Yeah.
I believe that is what we would consider an older module.
Okay.
That a lot of people may still follow, may believe in. Mm-hmm. But I think that with so much going on in our society, it has gotten to the point where, like King says, no, I'm the prize. The man is the prize. The man's the trophy. And not saying either way is right or wrong, but I think that from a communication standpoint, if a woman feels as though she's been raised and she believes she's the prize, the man believes he's the prize. This is where the conflict comes in because they never had this.
I believe that both. Okay, so I believe that both people are valuable. Both people are valuable in the relationship, and I believe that both people are supposed to be respected. But I also believe in certain gender roles.
Okay, we got a statement from Jeff.
Okay, wait, because I'm gonna say this. My thing is, if it's 11 o'clock at night and my doorbell rings, no, I don't want to be the one to answer the door. I want him to answer the door, and yeah, I'll be behind him with the bat. Like we can go toe to toe with whoever, but like I want you to answer the door.
Yeah, I hear you, Jeff. I mean, and you know what? It's
let
a trust issue.
Let me read it, cuz. Let me read it. Jeff said, I think that's what Melodic said to it, fellas. When you choose to court someone, you accept that they will have their guard up. If you want their wall to come down, you have to take a risk and lower yours. I agree with Jeff 1,000%.
Yep.
For some reason, and I'm just assuming, and what I see through social media, I can only say that after the fact, a lot of times when people's guards are totally down, and then they get hurt. And it doesn't have to be that they got hurt on their own. I'm not saying that. That now you understand why their walls is up. You understand why that guard is up because people have hurt people to the point like, yo, you really burnt this person. Right. You start hearing the stories and you like,
yeah,
he did that to you from a guy's perspective. When you listen to a woman, you be like, he did that to you, and you'll be saying in the back of your mind like, he couldn't have did all that, yo. She gotta have some issues, and then you be like, you say to yourself like, yo, the more you get to know her, you be like, she's so dope. Like, why did he do this to her? And then you start hating dude. Like you be like, yo, he was a whole clown and some. And it's a deep thing because if all of our guards are up, are we going into these relationships fully transparent? And I think that is one of our biggest issues because our elders, like I said, they didn't have a reason. Like it wasn't, for example, you didn't hear about like my, I'm just going to use my grandmother. I've never heard her talk about another man but my grandfather. And she had my grandfather by I think a year or two. He never said anything about, oh, somebody else was courting her. He told me straight up, he said, I liked your grandmother and I went to her father and told her I wanted to talk to her. He came from a very, very big family. And they were talking already, and her father sent us to Chicago. Like, I don't know if it was because of him, but basically he went and got the love of his life. So I say that a lot of times because of the hurt that a lot of us have went through in the past, it affects how we come with the baggage, so to say, into our future relationships.
Exactly. I think everybody, anyone who has been through anything, in all honesty, you're gonna have a little bit of baggage. Even growing up, everybody has a little bit of baggage. I mean, some people have a whole lot of baggage, and it's like, ooh, oh, wow.
Well, let me just read the statistics, and this was a study by Bowling Green State University. The author is Valerie Switzer. She said, all racial ethnic groups had more marriages than divorces. Other race women, including Asian, American Indian, Alaska Native, multiracial women, had the highest marriage to divorce ratio, meaning 3 women married in 2018 for every 1 woman divorced. Wow. The second highest ratio found among Hispanic women, 2.5, followed by white women, 2.1, and black women, 1.6. Black women were the only group that had a higher divorce rate than marriage rate, with nearly 31 divorces per 1,000 married women aged 15 and older, and only 17.3 marriages per 1,000 unmarried women. I don't know how you guys feel about those statistics. I think it's very interesting. I think that when you look at certain statistics, it will give you a glimpse of what's going on and why. Like I said, so many people, definitely the generation that's behind us, they're not getting married. Basim made a very good point. He said, with the spiritual foundation, how do you expect to build a successful marriage? Oh, Basim, that's another question, because I think that I think me personally, hold on, Jeffrey, I'll put your statement up in 1 second. I think that a lot of people have gotten away from spirituality, or can I say, back a generation or two before us, more people were religious. So I think that having religion as their base back then, in the name of religion, they kind of stayed together. So now, as people kind of evolve, I guess I say, for a lack of better words, and aren't more with organized religion, I think that a lot of people are, finding themselves free of having, quote unquote, those ties that bound. So they'll be quick to say, it's over. I ain't listening to the preacher. I ain't listening to the rabbi. I ain't listening to the imam. They don't know you're a tyrant in my house.
I'm going to say this, Quentin. You and I have so many conversations about accountability. And I think a lot of people, males and females, don't want to be accountable. So how can I not be accountable? I cannot be accountable by sticking and moving in these situationships and getting what I want physically, but not being accountable for anything. There are no requirements. There's nothing required of me to maintain this situation. So if I dip and dab, fast enough, I can still have my physical needs met, and who needs any emotional, attachments or anything. So I feel like a lot of people are I feel like a lot of people are so free with their sexual desires and lust that also has a lot to do with our marriage rates and divorce rates, etc.
Speaking of what you just said, and having conversations with you on accountability and being able to, as friends and co-hosts, always pushing each other to be accountable to whatever we got going on in life, to our jobs, to each other as co-hosts, to our friendship. I think that it makes it, you have to meet somebody where they are. And sometimes you could meet somebody, and I shared this with you, both of you guys, where it just ain't no chemistry.
Absolutely.
And you be like, ugh, what am I doing wrong? And we're not even talking about relationship. Y'all two know.
No, I know what you're talking about.
And it's like, but when you get that chemistry, you'll be like, yo, I'm as King and the guys from New York and Melodic being from the city as well. You have a bill with somebody where you'll be like, your intention is a conversation for 5 or 10 minutes. And next thing you know, you look at your phone, you've been on the phone with the person for an hour and 50 minutes. And you like, yo, we've been chopping it up that long, and we've been building ideas, building thoughts. And that's having a level of personal accountability,
right,
I believe. And now you could reciprocate that to your circle, your friends, your family. And then when you're trying to find that person and you're trying to get them to raise their accountability, if that accountability ain't matched, you feel it.
Oh, absolutely. And my thing is, why do you have to try to get somebody to raise their accountability? When, if you know that if you don't go to work, you don't get paid, you become accountable, don't you? You get up and you go to work and you do what you need to do so that you can pay your bills and take care of yourself. You need to eat, right?
But Melodic, and I'm gonna bring this up. You knew you just said it. You gave me the door, and I'm busting right through it.
Okay, go ahead. Let's.
It goes right back to that famous conversation of Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin.
There you go.
Why she told him it's okay to lie to me. Because he been lying all day long. He been lying all day long, putting on a face outside the home, and she was basically, and we're not talking about lying to the point where he's lying to cover up the truth. It's basically she was, in the interview, and why the interview is probably more popular today than ever is because she was talking about in a relationship being able to satisfy and please someone and juggle your day-to-day BS that you go through.
Right.
If you say you had a rough day at work, sometimes you don't need to tell your mate you had a bad day at work. You need to come home and say, today was good. It was great. Because you could tell, as King always says, you got to be able to match that energy.
Right. And sometimes you need to be able to come home and you need to detach from all of that. Leave that at the job. When the door closes, leave that there. Go home. If she made a nice home for you and you come home and, everything is good, enjoy that. Enjoy that. You have a moment to disconnect and enjoy what's going on here.
Jeffrey said, as a man who's been in toxic relationships, if I decide to court someone, I must have healed behaviors ready before I court the person. I wonder, would more education on this lower divorce rates? Actually, according to lawyers, one site I was looking at today, it said that the more educated you are, the lower the divorce rates are going. And they were talking about how a person with a high school education, it was like 16.9%, and then the more education that you had, it would be lower. It would go down lower. And one of the things that I was looking at. So I think that statistically, Jeff, to answer your question, yes, education would help. Basim said trends and fads have become the new religion.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed. And standards. So many people don't have standards. Or when they see that you have some standards, it's like, ooh, red flag. Oh, no. She actually has requirements. Absolutely. Yeah, listen. Keep your grass cut so you can weed out the snakes. Damn that.
So with that, we didn't. Go ahead, King.
No, I was going to say, sometimes you just got to move on.
Absolutely.
I mean?
Oh, so Jeff said no. He meant education on healed behaviors in therapy. Well, Jeff, you're talking to someone who believes in therapy, but I do think that therapy has to be, and even religion is very personal. And I think that a lot of times, because let's just say, for example, if I was actively in therapy, if I am actively in therapy and I'm working on me, that does not mean that I should be on social media telling people that they need to be in therapy. I think that a lot.
There's a stigma in our community, Q, in regards to therapy. Let's be very honest. When someone finds out that other people went to therapy, it's like, oh, so and so got problems.
No, melodic,
and it's ignorant.
I think in the last couple of years, I think people have been a lot open about therapy.
That's
I just one thing that I realize is that I think that a person is not. Some people aren't honest. You may meet somebody who looks pleasurable on the eye, and y'all see each other, and it's a connection when y'all see each other. It's a connection when y'all each other present. I think that if he's not ready, I'm just going to say from a male's perspective, he should be like, listen, I really find you attractive. I would really like to get to know you better, but I'm working on me.
Agree.
I think that a lot of times, a lot of people, they don't know how to play the long game. I think that
people are selfish.
Play the long game.
Selfish.
They don't want to play the long game, right? Melodic, the long. They be like, nah.
Yeah, people are selfish.
I'm a juggle my toxicity level with trying to court this new thing, and I'm gonna keep my toxic side, as they say.
Right.
I'm gonna keep my toxic side away from the side I'm trying to be.
Okay. Guess what? If you have a toxic side, it's not going to be hidden very long.
Well, you're right. It's definitely going to come out.
Right.
I just think that like I said, a lot of people have been hurt, Rightfully so. When you know you've been hurt, and what I mean hurt is you are hurt, but you have to understand that maybe you didn't cause the hurt, and not having that perspective, I think a lot of times it bothers people because you may not have caused the hurt, so you're dealing with a burden that you didn't bear. You holding somebody, like you eating somebody else's stuff, like you're so upset with how you was done. The joker that did it don't even care.
But
so
you know what? If you love that person, you'll work with that person through that hurt to a point of healing. Every man, I don't believe that every man or every woman comes into your life to hurt you. Some of them come in to heal and restore what was broken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, guys, I believe we kind of had the discussion that we wanted to have, and we didn't really want it to be too researchy. We just wanted to just talk, kick it like a phone conversation. So King, I will tell you, you've just been invited to a 3-way conversation that me and Melodic may have every day.
That's cool. You know me.
Because really, like I said, that one of the beautiful things about the mission statement to Conversations with Friends is being able to infuse these type of conversations in our community and being able to talk with friends about situations that you may go through, and being able to look at someone else's perspective and say, I don't agree with that, but you know what? I'm listening to their perspective and they're right.
Right. I was sending Quentin a news article, like, did you see this? This is crazy, you know? And then we'll have a conversation about it. And it's like, we should talk about this on the show, or, you know, and, you know, we'll give each other, you know, our perspectives and, you know, how we feel, or, you know, any experiences we may have had that, you know, are relatable to that particular topic or whatever. And, you know, I find it very helpful.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing too, what I looked at even with my divorce, I said, you know what? Maybe I was in her life for a reason, you know what I'm saying? A reason in the season, and she was in mine, you know what I'm saying? Vice versa. You learn from it and you go on and live from it, you know what I mean?
Well,
so,
and that's the best thing.
You know, I'm not going to hold no grudge and all this other bull crap and all that. So I just like, yo, all right, this is what it was. And I just move on. You know, I manifest when I meditate on things, and I just see it like that. It's a learning thing. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I know you wasn't a bad seed. I know I wasn't a bad seed. So after a while, the learning process is over, and we going on other great adventures of life. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I'll share. So I am divorced, and
oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, see, look, learn something new every day. Look at that. I am, and I will say that marriage was definitely, I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I learned a lot, and I'm a better person because of the things that I've learned, whether they were painful or not. I love who I am. I will say that. I absolutely love the woman that I have become. It took me a long time to get where I am, but I think that when it comes to relationships in general, as long as you grew from that relationship and you learned a lesson, well, that's what you're supposed to do.
I'll say one thing, just not to cut you off. I'm sorry. I became an author and a poet, you know what I'm saying, after the divorce.
See?
Look, 17 books in. You know what I mean?
See, something
right after the divorce.
Something good came from it.
I think that with all of our experiences, you have to look at it as more of a learning experience than more of a bad situation. I'm quite sure if we wanted to trauma bond right now, we could have a whole night of trauma bonding, and just think about the energy that'll be not only in our conversation but left with us if we decide to trauma bond and carry it into our night or carry it into work tomorrow morning. When you continuously trauma bond and speak negative instead of saying, you know what, King, I was immature in that situation. I messed that up. We're looking at me being accountable and you holding me accountable. I'm like, yo, cuz like you was moving reckless. And I think that one of the things that we want to do, like I said, with Conversations with Friends, is being able to have a conversation, have some smiles, have some laughs, and be like, I was tripping. Like, or I tripped, or just looking at different perspectives. So with that, really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate the show. Got a beautiful week next week ahead of me. Really, really weak. I can't wait till Saturday. I'm a party like a rock star. And I ain't telling y'all what I'm doing, but I'm partying like a rock star Saturday.
Okay.
But anyway,
Nice.
With that, any final thoughts, you guys?
Hey, just show peace, love, and respect out there in the world. Know what I mean? Leave that other garbage alone. Know what I mean? You don't get along with somebody, it's time to walk away. Put some wings on your back, fly. You know what I mean?
Well, my parting thoughts are us as a people, we need to learn to coexist. We need to realize that 5 fingers balled up into one fist is better than each individual finger. We need to learn how to coexist and get along so that we can actually have something and build something, and we'll be better for it. And I think our culture will be better for it.
Well, beautiful show, you guys. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Basim and Jeff. The chat allows us to have a lot of back and forth and a lot of join the conversation, even though you guys aren't on screen. You guys' thoughts or comments are very much appreciated. And until next time, we'll see you in a few weeks. And remember, Conversations with Friends is every second and fourth Sunday of the month. Also, we do reviews on Mondays, Poetry Corner on Tuesdays, Trending Topics on Wednesdays, and Thursdays we do King's Pop-Up Show. And we are about to start our trauma, Men Dealing with Trauma show back with Basim. I've been a little negligent with that. So it's really more of he's ready when I am. And I know he's giving me some forbearance and
Can't
some
wait
excuses.
Right, can't wait to see these men trying to deal with their trauma. That's right, work on it.
Absolutely, and hopefully soon I'll be able to get back with Basim and get myself together and schedule some of these shows. With that, appreciate you guys. Remember, the best way to support is to like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Take care and have a blessed week.
Good night.
And sometimes it takes it to another level where it's just kind of teasing, man. So I just feel like right now the state of where women are was acceptable.